Well, we'll move on to the next part of our program, which is the exciting announcement of the winners of our 6-word mystery contest. And before I turn the floor over to our MC for that part of our program, I do want to introduce Manuel Ramos, who is getting up to leave right now at the moment. I'm sorry, Manuel. And he'll wave as he walks off. He was one of our judges, which you probably all know because it's been well publicized. And so, Manuel, I'm very, very glad that you could come tonight. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
And then I'm going to turn the floor over right now to John Stith, who will tell us who the finalists were and who the winners are.
Well, greetings, mystery lovers. I hope this year you've all been able to live the dream of asking your bank teller for money while wearing a mask. I'm going to tell you some about the contest entries we had this year. We had 317 total entries that represented 85 different people from 22 states. And we heard from the USA, Australia, Canada, South Korea, England, and Wales. The judges who selected our finalists were Ann Hillerman, Linda Landrigan, Manuel Ramos, Nicole Sullivan, and Terry Wolf. And you, the members, voted on our 2020 winners. And congratulations to Margaret for this meeting going so smoothly so far. We've had a few technical glitches, but I've certainly been in a number of Zoom sessions that are more like seances, you know. Mildred, are you there? We can't hear you. Is there anyone with you?
Thank you. Thank you. We have lots of help in the background for sure. We have lots of co-hosts that are helping out. Thank you, John.
I think we're all going to remember the 2020. It's the year we stopped avoiding negative people and started avoiding positive people. So here are our finalists and the winners. We had 5 or 6 categories. The first category is police procedural. And the finalists are Dispatch Balked, No Backup During Zombie Apocalypse from Benjamin Heller. Exhumed the Casket, Found It Empty from Nana Heron. Genealogist Discovered Dead in Cemetery, Charlene Dietz. Hipster Solution to Overpriced Hitmen, DIY, Jeffrey Lockwood. Tattoo Killer Fingered for Signature Crimes, Rita Pop. And the winner for Police Procedural is Tattoo Killer Fingered for Signature Crimes, Rita Pop. So congratulations. In the category for Romance and Lust, Honeymoon Chasm Yawned, The Bridegroom Didn't, Jenny McDonald. Royal Wedding Day, Last Known Sighting, Renata Waldrop. She, the Killer, Was My Ex-Husband, Cabby Cabison. Smooth Talking Lothario, Found Tongue-Tied, Sue Hinken. So Gorgeous, I Almost Believed Her, Matthew Porter. And the winner for Romance and Lust is Smooth Talking Lothario, Found Tongue-Tied, Sue Hinken. So congratulations. In the category of Thriller, Grandma, You've Got to Stop Killing People from David Bart. Dear Judge, I Know Your Address from Jeffrey Lockwood. House Ablaze, Husband Watched, Now Single from Vi Cava. Ritalin Helped Chucky Until It Didn't from Michelle Elberg. scratching sounds inside coffin busted mortician, Theodore Eilif. And the winner in Thriller is Grandma, You Gotta Stop Killing People from David Bart. In the category for cozy, Cake Was Baked, Faked, Stomachache, Wake from Richard Boersma. Chef Killed, Chargers Are Wanton Cruelty from A.J. Hartson. Embezzling Manicurist Nailed by Digital Detectives, Rita Pop. Gardner Has Knack for Bleeding Hearts, K.R. Hindman. Wore Rose-Colored Glasses, Missed Red Flags from Kristen Horton. And the winner in the cozy category is Chef Killed, Charges Are Wanton Cruelty from A.J. Hartson. So congratulations. In the noir hard-boiled category, we have Another Murder, Barkeep, Must Solve Whiskey from Lee O'Brien. Are You Okay? Gunshots. Better Now, Viabab Hazia. Hunted She Hid, Cheap Perfume Lingers, Daniel Ginsberg. Jameson Neat, Rocky Affair, Nightcapped Narc from Andrea Stout. And Vinnie's Black Sedan Careened into Oblivion, Mary Burgess. And the winner of Noir and Hardboiled is Are You Okay? Gunshots, Better Now from Beabub Hazia. And I hope I got the name right. So congratulations. And our overall winner is the entry that got the most votes from anyone, total votes. Our overall winner is Smooth Talking Lothario Found Tongue-Tied from Sue Hinken.
Thanks. That was so much fun, the whole thing.
And one last thing, I have a PSA. I know everyone's been constantly reminded to wash your hands, but that's never meant that you can't take showers.
Oh, thank you so much, John. And oh gosh, thanks to everyone. Oh, congratulations to everyone who made the finals. Congratulations to the winners. This was, as always, such a fun contest. We really appreciate people helping us do this. And the proceeds from this contest, after we pay out the wonderful prizes, if there's money left over, which there was this year, will go towards education for mystery writers. So we really appreciate all your participation in this year's contest. Chris.
Will all of the entries and the winners be posted in our newsletter?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
on the web?
Yes, the entries, the finalists, and the winners will be posted in all of these places on our website, in the newsletter, our chapter newsletter. They will be posted in the March issue of Alfred Hitchcock's Mystery Magazine, and they will be posted on the Colorado Sun. And ZJ, I think that's going to be this weekend. Is that right?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. Do you know for sure? I have forgotten. I'm sorry. Is it Saturday?
I think after tonight's meeting, we send them all the winners, and it should appear either tomorrow or Saturday.
Okay. I'll take care of sending the winners, and that sounds wonderful. So the Colorado Sun. So we've had some great help from Alfred Hitchcock's Mystery Magazine and several news medias this year as far as spreading the word. So it's been a great, fun contest. Thank you to everyone.
If I can just interrupt, I got to run, but thank you for
Yes,
the
Ted.
contest. Thank you for the fun. I'm a past winner, so I've had fun doing this a couple of times. It's a great contest. You all do great work. So thank you very much for letting me join the meeting, and I wish you happy holidays.
See ya.
Thank you. Same to you, Ted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go ahead now and move on to our program. And it's an exciting program. I can't wait. And I'm going to turn the floor over to Lori Lacefield, our program director.
Hi, everyone. That was so great. I loved reading all those. Those were just, they were hilarious. Everybody's got such an imagination. I love it. Okay, let me tell you how this is kind of going to work. Not kind of going to work, going to work. We hope. We did not practice this live, so we're going to hope that this is going to run smoothly. So what's going to happen, and I'll explain everything, including the grid. I'm going to read the setup, and then I see ZJ's already getting in costume there. All right. I'm going to read the setup, and then each witness is going to give their testimony as to what they saw happen that night. And then at the end of each reading, I'm going to ask if anyone wants a portion reread or has a question. The witness can only answer based on what is in their testimony, not anything else. And just so you know, it makes it easy for them. They only have their portion of the testimony, so they really can't answer anything else. At the end of all 5 testimonies, the first person to A, send me a chat of who did it and why that person is correct, and B, send me a chat listing the authors with each of their matching mask color, their drink, the appetizer, and the room visited, get a prize. So you can use the grid provided to help with your determination. So how that works is if you've ever worked a logic puzzle, once you know something matches, such as a drink and an author, you put a yes in that box when you know 2 items match. And then because you know that matches, you know logically that the other ones in that row and that column don't match. So based upon that, in each of those, you can start using your logic to figure out what other things should match. So does that make sense? I can show a little example. If you can see it. No, you can't see it. It's way too tiny. So does anybody have questions on that though? Does that make sense? I don't see any hands. Wait, Cynthia has her hand up.
Where is the grid that you mentioned?
Oh, the grid was sent out with the invitation.
Oh, oops, never mind. I'll go find it.
It's also on the website.
Okay, thank you, Matthew.
But just so you know that you probably don't need the grid in the long run. It's not like I've made this entirely complicated, but you will be able to figure it out probably a little quicker if you have the grid. Anybody else?
I don't have Cynthia's email, or I would forward her what I have. I don't know why I don't have her email.
The grid was also in the newsletter.
Okay, I'm a teacher. I'm like so overwhelmed with final exams right now. I'm missing everything. I'm so sorry. I will go find it. Thank you though.
You're okay. I'm gonna look at page 2 here just to make sure nobody else has their hand up. Think we're good? Okay, let's get started. I'm gonna read the setup. So, RMMWA's authors weren't happy that they couldn't host their annual holiday party with their favorite author and publishing friends in 2020. and per Denver's strict social gathering requirements, were forced to gather via Zoom. Smoke and Scarlet, however, decided to go rogue and invited 4 of her best author friends who write different genres to a small party hosted in her Aunt Agatha's mansion while she was away. She asked each of the guests to wear a mask that best represented their genre and bring his or her own drink and an appetizer for their own consumption to remain safe. The party was going well, everyone keeping 6 feet apart, until he crashed the event. Mean Mike, the local book critic and man authors love to hate. Mike makes it his mission to make authors' lives miserable. And when he showed up maskless and took to munching the author's food and sipping their drinks, everyone at the party had a motive to wipe his mean, maskless face off the earth. So when he clutched his chest, turned blue, and died, all fingers pointed to those at the party. Who killed Mean Mike? From the clues provided in each author's testimony, and you guess the color of mask each wore, the food and drink each brought, and what room they visited in the estate the night Mean Mike was murdered. Then, given the clues, tell us who murdered Mean Mike. So first up is Detective Dick. Detective, can you tell us what you saw at the party that night?
My name is Dick Durbin. I'm an author and a former detective who now writes police procedurals, hence my navy, actually my light blue mask, representing the thin blue line. I have to admit, I'm not used to being on this side of the questioning, but given what I saw transpire tonight, I think I can help you solve your crime. When I arrived at Aunt Agatha's house, the crusty colonel was already there, drinking what he called a dark and stormy, and eyeballing the artichokes with caper aioli someone else had brought before him. While we had a chat about our local book critic, Mean Mike, and the great irritation he is, I saw a guest with a fuchsia mask arrive. She breezed right by us to join Smokin' Scarlet, who was in the kitchen fixing herself a rather toxic brew. The woman in the fuchsia mask seemed agitated. Later, I learned that Mean Mike had released a review of her latest romance novel, The Last Cowboy. And he said, and I quote, "Readers can only hope that this is indeed the last we have to endure from this mouth of extravagance that swallows every desire one might have to read her books. In the end, the cowboy shouldn't have to so much as walked unto the sunset as mounted his horse and rode at full gallop," end quote. Well, she wasn't amused. When Mean Mike crashed the party, the two of them exchanged harsh words. Yet I thought the two of them had made up, as later I caught the two of them sneaking off to the bedroom together. But then she emerged alone. If you ask me, I think she did it.
Thank you, Detective Dick. Does anybody need a proportion reread, or do they have a question for the detective?
I think I'm going to need it totally reread.
Was that Chris?
Yes. No, it was Smokin' Scarlet.
I don't see you smoking right now. Oh. Does everybody want it reread?
I would go with
Yes.
that.
Sabrina, Barb, I see a lot of head nodding. Okay. ZJ.
Want me to?
We
Okay.
probably we might need to read each of them twice.
Okay.
It's good practice for you.
My name is Dick Durbin. I'm an author and a former detective who now writes police procedurals, hence my light blue or navy mask representing the thin blue line. I have to admit, I'm not used to being on this side of the questioning, but given what I saw transpire tonight, I think I can help you solve your crime. When I arrived at Aunt Agatha's house, the crusty colonel was already there, drinking what he called a dark and stormy, and eyeballing the artichokes with caper aioli someone else had brought before him. While we had a chat about our local book critic, Mean Mike, and the great irritation he is, I saw a guest with a fuchsia mask arrive. She breezed right by us to join Smokin' Scarlet, who was in the kitchen fixing herself a rather toxic brew. The woman in the fuchsia mask seemed agitated. Later, I learned that Mean Mike had released a review of her latest romance novel, The Last Cowboy, saying, and I quote, "Readers can only hope that this is indeed the last we have to endure from this mouth of extravagance that swallows every desire one might have to read her books. In the end, the cowboy shouldn't have so much as walked into the sunset as mounted his horse and rode at full gallop," end quote. Well, she wasn't amused. When Mean Mike crashed the party, the two of them exchanged harsh words. Yet, I thought the two of them had made up, as later I caught the two of them sneaking off to the bedroom. But then she emerged, alone, and if you ask me, I think she did it.
Thank you, Detective. Okay. Anybody have any final questions?
Detective Richard, was your mask navy or blue? I didn't quite catch that.
It's thin blue. It could be navy on your notes.
I can actually answer that. Based on his testimony, it's a navy mask representing the thin blue line.
And was it Smokin' Scarlet that was in the bedroom with our victim?
No.
Should we wait until everyone has been deposed and then ask questions?
Yeah, he can only answer what he knows.
Right.
The only thing he knows is the fuchsia mask was in the bedroom.
That's correct.
Smokin' Scarlet was in the kitchen.
I have a question. Do we know that Colonel Krusty did not bring the artichokes with the capers, that he was eyeing them, that someone else brought?
Yes, someone else brought them before him.
Okay.
He was just
Thank you.
eyeballing them.
Eyeballing them.
I have that question too, because in the instructions it asked about food and drink that they brought. We're supposed to figure out what drink they brought too?
Yes.
Okay, they brought drinks?
Yes. They brought their
making a drink there.
They brought their own drinks.
Okay.
It's her aunt's house, so it's her aunt's house. She's in there brewing up her drink.
Okay, thank you.
Those mystery writers are very detailed. I knew there'd be good questions. Okay, we're going to move on. Next up is Prissy Peacock. Miss Priss, can you tell us what you saw at the party that night? My name is Prissy Peacock, widow of Peter Peacock, and author of the Pampered Pooch and Peppered Pantry Cozy series. Try saying that 10 times in a row, darling. As you can see, I have a fondness for my husband's namesake. My husband, rest his soul, is believed to have been murdered some years ago, although they never discovered the body. So trust me when I say I know a thing or two about murder. And although they, and what I can tell you is, I think it was that crusty colonel that murdered Mean Mike. When I arrived at Aunt Agatha's, I overheard him talking to Detective Dick, and he was saying things about Mean Mike that a lady such as myself cannot repeat. But it seems the colonel's last book, The Master Plan, was not exactly what you'd call a critical success. Mean Mike called the master plan a master disaster and said the colonel had, quote, mastered everything except how to tell a story in a manner coherent to humans, but rather to a pack of squabbling monkeys. He went on to say that it must be difficult exhausting one's entire vocabulary in a single sentence. Ouch, that had to smart. The colonel was so angry, he took his dark and stormy and stormed off to the lounge for some alone time. But I noticed he purposely left his appetizer behind, which I saw Mean Mike later sample. And it wasn't long after that Mean Mike took a Humpty Dumpty there on the floor. So if you ask me, Mean Mike was cracked by the deviled eggs, the hard-boiled noir writer, with a mask as black as his heart left behind. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or need anything reread? Margaret does.
Do we know what color of mask Prissy is wearing, other than, I know your blue mask, but I was wondering if we know what color. So it's the blue.
It's the light blue.
Okay, thank you.
Do you like my feathers?
Yes, very much.
So just to clarify, taking a Humpty Dumpty on the cover just means you cracked your egg, right?
Okay. It's
not
an
the
egg.
other sort of, okay, got it.
It's an egg reference. It's the hard-boiled noir writer.
All right, gotcha.
Okay, any other questions? I'm looking. I don't see any. There wasn't as many.
I have a question. Are we going to get to question all of everyone at the end before we actually?
Sure, if you need to.
Okay.
Lori, could you repeat the last sentence?
It wasn't long after that Mean Mike took a Humpty Dumpty there on the floor. So if you ask me, Mean Mike was cracked by the deviled eggs, the hard-boiled noir writer with a mask as black as his heart left behind.
Thank you.
Okay. So it's starting to sound like multiple authors had a motive. Let's talk with Busty Betty and see what she has to say about the party. Betty, can you tell us what you saw that night?
Well, my name is Betty Brody, affectionately known as Busty Betty by my friends and fans. And I write the Rocky Mountain Hot Cowboy Romance series. Of course, I was at the party that night. For me, there is nothing better than a good party, except maybe sex on the beach, which is always my go-to cocktail. The party was going well until Mean Mike showed up and then, well, died. I mean, what a way to ruin a good party. Not going to say I'll miss the man, but that doesn't mean I killed him. I heard Detective Dick was blaming me for Mean Mike's death, but I think he's just jealous because I sell so many more books. Crime doesn't pay on or off the page, but lust sells, honey. Sure, Mean Mike had terrible things to say about my latest book and called my sex scenes 50 Shades of Dull. But he also had plenty to say about Dick's police procedural, Last Rites. Mike said he had to call in a priest to exorcise the book of Dick's purple prose. But there wasn't enough Hail Marys in the world to save it from its murdered grammar and a plot with more holes than the victims. He ended by saying Dick Durkin should confess his sin of claiming to be a crime writer. That night, after Mean Mike taunted the detective by saying Dick's Cops and Thieves cocktail wasn't any more original than his books, Dick challenged him to a game of tennis. And the detective aced him. The detective says he's always there to protect and serve, on the court or on the streets. But if you ask me, what he served up that night was murder.
Thank you, Betty. Does anybody want Betty to reread any portion, or do they have a question for Betty?
I thought that was very dramatic.
Yes.
And there was a definite clue there.
Yes. Margaret has a question.
Okay, Betty, yes, Betty.
Yes.
Were you wearing the fuchsia mask?
I cannot say.
Okay. And that's okay. That's all. Thanks.
I do have a fuchsia sweater on, though.
Yes, very lovely.
But that's
I have a question. Busty Betty, did you mention anything about appetizers? In what you told us?
No, I did not.
Okay, thank you.
That it?
Okay. I'm looking for any more raised hands. I don't see any. Everybody good? Okay. Well, everyone seems to be pointing the finger at someone else. Let's see what that crusty colonel has to say about the party. Colonel, can you tell us what you saw that night?
My name is Colonel Carl Cook, and as you've probably guessed by now, I write hard-boiled noir. After my military career, I became a private eye, so I've seen a thing or two, including at Smokin' Scarlet's holiday party. Look, I know there's been a lot of finger pointing, including at me, But the truth is, there isn't a single one of us that didn't have a motive to wipe Mean Mike's maskless face off the earth. Critics are to authors what dogs are to lampposts. I'm sure I don't need to elaborate, but there isn't one of us that hasn't been stained by Mean Mike's words. You've already heard what he had to say about Betty's and Dick's novels, and my own, but he was just as harsh on Prissy Peacock and Smokin' Scarlet. Why, if Prissy's latest cozy, It's a Toss-Up, a garden salad mystery, he said, "This is not a salad or a book to be tossed aside lightly. Instead, it should be thrown with great force." And Mike called Scarlet's last thriller, Alibis and Adversaries, worthy of the scarlet letter A. The characters, the writing, and the entire story were pure, unadulterated crap. So, I can tell you, despite what they'll tell you, nobody was in a particularly festive mood that night. When Betty arrived, she went straight to the kitchen to commiserate and air her grievances to Scarlet. Prissy Peacock arrived later, but I could tell she had her feathers in a ruffle too. And far be it for me to judge a man who symbolically cannibalizes his own, but it was obvious, as the detective stuffed one after another of those little piggies in blankets into his mouth, he was not a happy man. Still, I don't believe any of them killed Mean Mike. My time in the military gave me insight into human behavior and what prompts a man or woman to kill. So I think I know who offed him. When I first arrived, I caught Smokin' Scarlet coming from the library with a book about poisons. I joked with her about it, asking if she was planning a caper to kill us with her artichokes and caper aioli. She chuckled in that deep, throaty voice of hers and claimed it was just research for her next book, but I didn't buy it. She was angry. Everyone knows the only thing more smokin' about Scarlet, other than her looks, is her temper. You ask me, Scarlet took that book to the kitchen to unleash her fury and mix up a deadly brew. There's a reason they call that drink of hers Death in the Afternoon. Those who imbibe never make it to nightfall. Absinthe does not make the heart grow fonder. It leaves men cold or dead, exactly like Mean Mike. You ask me, I'd say it was Scarlet who put his fire out.
Thank you, Colonel, for your testimony. Does anyone have a question or need any portion of the author's testimony read again?
It's great.
I will say technically by now you could know everything except one final piece of the puzzle. And now I see some people nodding there. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna get the chat box open here.
So Lori, if we get who is, like all of them, all the answers, but we still have to pick one as the murderer?
No, there's two prizes. I'm giving a prize for the first person who sends me who the killer is after this next testimony, Smokin' Scarlet. So after Smokin' Scarlet gives her testimony, the first person to tell me who the killer is and why, it's a prize. And then the first person to tell me all the list of authors, the color of their mask, their food, the drink, and the room they visited gets a prize. Carrie's already typing her answers, I can see. Okay, nobody has any questions for the Colonel? All right. So I guess we better talk to Ms. Scarlet. Smokin' Scarlet, can you tell us what you saw at the party that night?
No, she's dead too.
Uh-oh. We can't hear you, Smoking Scarlet.
My heavens. Technology, not my thing. My name is Miss Scarlett Scarpetti, and I write smoking hot thrillers. You've heard all my guests' accounts of what occurred at my rogue holiday party. Now let me give you the facts. The crusty colonel was right when he said everyone had a motive to kill Mean Mike, and just so you know, that includes Prissy Peacock. Don't let her pretty colors fool you. Word is that old bird murdered her husband. Why, one time I asked her where she kept her fondest memories of Peter, and she told me she always keeps a piece of him in the garden. When I told her I'd never seen the piece she was referring to, she told me I needed to dig a little harder, then cackled like an old hen. Now, I'm not saying she planned to do the same to Mean Mike, but after he insulted both her cooking and her books by saying the cheese puffs she brought weren't nearly as cheesy as her novels, which he described as puffed pastries filled with gastric-turning characters as difficult to digest as the recipes in the back. Well, the feathers between them. Later, I saw her garnish her drink with some citrus and green leaves she brought back from the garden. She swore it was just to flavor her Long Island iced tea, but I saw her purposefully set it aside afterward, knowing Mean Mike would sample it, and he did. But what you have to know is Mike was busy indulging in everyone's appetizers and drinks all night long. He was like a little maskless mouse, skittering to and fro to mouth, munch, and masticate whatever he could find. I'd like to think his death was natural. Really wish he choked on one of my artichokes, to be honest with you, especially after he said my last thriller was not so much the silence of the lambs, but the counting of the sheep. Unfortunately, I know he was poisoned. Before the party started, I was doing a little research for my next thriller and brought out a book on the subject and had it in the kitchen with me the night of the party. I didn't use it, but somebody else did. When I returned to the kitchen after the party was over, I noticed a bit of oyster droppings on the arsenic page. Whoever visited the kitchen other than me, brought the oysters, and had a moment alone to feed them to Mean Mike is the true culprit.
Thank you, Smoking Scarlet. Does anybody have any questions or need a portion of Smoking Scarlet's testimony reread?
I have one question.
Okay.
Who did you say brought the cheese puffs?
Miss Prissy Peacock.
Thank you.
She also has cheesy novels.
Hey.
According to Mean Mike.
Your last novel was like not so much the silence of the lambs, but the counting of the sheep. Okay, we're getting some answers here. Let's see. Oh. I'm gonna have to get these a little bigger here. All right, Carrie has a guess for the whole thing here. She's got Detective Dick with the pigs in the blankets, Cops and Thieves, the tennis court, and the Navy mask. That's correct. Prissy Peacock brought the cheese puffs, the Long Island iced tea. She visited the garden, She wore the light blue mask. And Betty brought the oysters, the sex on the beach, visited the bedroom wearing the fuchsia mask. The Colonel brought the deviled eggs, drinking the dark and stormy, visiting the lounge, the black mask, and Scarlet brought the artichokes. She's drinking death in the afternoon, visited the library, and the red mask. And that is correct. Yay, Carrie. Carrie says the murderer is Betty. So I'm going to ask Betty. Okay, so first I'm going to ask Carrie, why do you think the murderer is Betty? You have to tell me why.
So something that Smoking Scarlet said at the end. What was Smoking Scarlet's last sentence? I was only half listening because I was typing in that extremely long chat to you.
Whoever visited the kitchen other than me, brought the oysters, and had a moment alone to feed them to me and Mike is the true culprit.
That's why I said Betty, because she brought the oysters.
She did indeed. And she visited the bedroom with Mike. So Carrie wins both prizes.
Yay.
Full disclosure, when I was in middle school, I was in a class and we did these for fun. These logic puzzles where you had the grids.
They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I have to ask Busty Betty. Busty Betty, did you kill Mean Mike? You got to unmute yourself.
What? I confess to nothing.
So, did you smoke Mean Mike?
I smoked the oysters.
And she's still hanging out in that bedroom.
No, it's true. She smoked him.
I'm still in the bedroom. Yes. What was I supposed to say at the end? I forget.
Yes, it's okay. It's true. It's true.
It is true. It is true. I did not like Mean Mike. And I was doing you all a favor.
So Lori, I have a question. Did you write all of this?
Yeah.
You created it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Very good job.
That's amazing. I can't believe you did that. That's amazing.
That was fun.
Great lines. Great lines.
I did steal some of the insults off some. I had a little too much fun with the insults on the reviews. I did steal some of those.
Yes.
But it was fun. I hope everybody had fun with it. I did.
That was a lot of fun.
Now, I'm going to ask something really dumb. I got it all kind of figured way too late, but how do I send the chat to you once I typed it all up? I was typing like crazy and half of it's misspelled anyway, but yeah, because I was typing fast. I have it all I'm looking at it, but how do I get it to you?
At the bottom, there is a chat box in the black. Do you see the chat? Oh,
right.
Yeah.
I opened that and typed it all up. So I hit that again.
Yep, let's see.
You have to pick the two. You have to pick Lori, though.
I did.
But no, I see some others coming in here. There were quite a few others that sent it. I just picked
I didn't know if
one.
it's sent automatically. This is how bad I am. That's why I was a history teacher. Because I could live in the past and not have to do anything toward technology.
But you're learning. You're learning.
I'm getting it. Okay.
Nope, I see Cynthia had it right. Bruce said, I'm going with Murder on the Orient Express. They all did it. We probably did, honestly.
I actually thought that at one point too.
Yeah, I thought about going that route too. It's like, let's see. Okay, I guess that was it. Well, thank you all.
So
That
much.
was so fun.
That was great.
Thanks to the players. Thank you, Lori, for writing such a tremendous script. That was just really fun.
Well, thanks to Suzanne and Lori Walcott too, because we had a meeting of the minds, and Suzanne came and Lori came up with the drinks and the appetizers, and once I kind of woke up in the middle of the night and was like, logic puzzle, I can do that. We can figure that out.
Yes.
We were trying to make it easy via Zoom and have some fun. So hopefully we had some fun.
So I have a favor. I was taking screenshots of all the players, as they came up, so I can put it on Facebook eventually. But I missed Matthew with the cigar in his mouth. I think I was taking notes or something.
Rusty
So,
Colonel.
okay. So Matthew, you have to talk. So you come full. Hold on, I'm going to put you on speaker view. So Matthew, you talk, and you'll pop up on.
Well, I'll talk when I have something to say.
Okay.
Not a moment before.
Because he's a very crusty colonel.
Okay, I got you.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much to all the players. Thank you very much to the holiday party planners, Suzanne Prue, Lori Lacefield, and Lori Walcott. Thank you very much. It was
And thank
so
you for
much
the
fun.
volunteers. Even if you volunteered or you were recruited forcefully.
It was fun. Absolutely.
Well, thanks again for Lori. That was a great script.
Oh, so
Yeah,
good.
that was
Thank
fun.
you. Thank you. It was fun.
We'll have to have some Academy Awards here a little bit later.
Well, speaking of that, I do think it's almost time to pass along Eddie.
Oh,
You need to
Oh,
think about this. This could be the Academy Award that we give our little my little bobblehead. I would love to give him.
You so deserve that bobblehead, though.
Well,
Yeah.
but he goes place to place for people who do great things for our chapter. So it's about time. The board needs to start thinking about it.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. You're right, Chris. I had kind of lost track of old Eddie. Thank
He's
you
like
for
an
bringing-
Oscar, you know.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Very close to an Oscar.
Does anyone in this room actually have one of these? Manuel, do you have one? You were nominated, weren't you?
Yeah, I was nominated. Here's what I've got. I don't have that one. I have this guy.
Who do you have?
Oh, Poe.
Just an action figure of Eddie.
He's
I
got
have
a
I
raven
have-
on his shoulder.
Yeah, he's got
I
a
have
crow.
Graham Hedrick.
Got the crow, of course.
Very good. Very good.
I have Graham Hedrick of the ID channel, Autopsy.
I think I need one from the Hallmark Channel. I've been watching a lot of that just so that I don't have to watch the news.
Exactly.
A great juxtaposition to the news.
Wise choice.
Well, I'm going to kind of call this program part of our meeting closed. And actually, Chris, you can stop recording if you'd like to. Thank you very much. And does anybody, you can all unmute any other upcoming events?